All right, welcome. Thanks for joining us here again for another bringing market experts to you, the Live Local Marketing channel. And we have today Michael with Madman Marketing, and he has got a lot of great content where he can take businesses and work them up, start to finish, break down their brands, lots of data information. Thanks for joining us here today, Michael.
Awesome. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so real quick, the process is going to be we have 7 topics. We're going to go through them 2 minutes at a time, give him a chance to talk about his expertise and all the things he does with his business. At the very end, Michael will have the outro where he talks about the business in general, and you'll want to hear that because he's got a lot of good tips, and his website is really well laid out. And then hit call to action where you can find him and more information. So we're all set and ready, Michael?
Cool. We're ready to go.
All right, man. First one is always my favorite one. As an entrepreneur, what do you consider to be your first win?
My first win. So I originally thought that my first win would be like, a good contract or, like a successful campaign that we ran. But I honestly, like when getting into the business, the first win I think was like that first like real sale that I made on my own without someone else. It's just like, it was such a high. It was such a really good feeling. That being said, if we go into like a campaign win or something, there was a contracting company that I started working with about 2 years ago where they were just getting absolutely nothing. They changed their website, they changed their brand name. They kind of did all the things that I tell people not to do without like help right away. And their lead volume and sales just dropped to 0 for a few months. And they were like, I don't know what to do. So within a few months, we actually got their phone ringing again. And they were, I think about halfway through the year, they were like, we could stop if we wanted to. We kind of made our nut for this year. But so that was a really good feeling to see the process from start to finish work and do really well.
So that first one where you had the first contract, how many years ago was that? Were you just like young and new getting started, or was it a few years ago? What was that time frame?
That was probably about 2 years ago. So the business has been around for about a little over almost 5 years at this point. And most of the contracts is coming through agencies and like kind of like white labeling. But then like the first direct was huge.
That's awesome. All right, awesome. So when you sit down with these clients, and you've got a bunch as featured on the website too, how's that conversation go in regards to branding? How do you break it down with them? How do you talk to them about branding?
Yeah, I think that's the first thing that we touch on, because I think most people sit there and they say, I have this great product or I have this great service. And so they tell the world about it. But the problem is that no one knows who you are. And so why am I going to buy something from you as opposed to anybody else when I know nothing about you? And me and you can meet someplace. I can tell you how great my product and service is. And then you go to look me up and you don't find anything. And in this day and age, there is so much, like we deal with this all the time. There's so many scams out there. And people are just trying to take your money. And there's also a lot of people out there that they're trying to start something new. They might be a little less experienced, but they're also presenting themselves as, having all of this experience and everything. And you might take a chance on them because they're a little bit cheaper, but then the results aren't there. And so finding people, and this is as a brand just starting out as well. And I'm not saying like, don't go with someone new, don't take a chance on someone new. But as that new person, you need to have content out there. You need to have something where people can find you outside of just your LinkedIn or talking to you in person. And I think it's super important to gaining more business.
Yeah, so on your website and the conversation we've had, you'd have like a hybrid of like SEO and in person. There's got to be a blend of it. Is that kind of what you coach, what you teach, what you show people?
Yeah, I think SEO is kind of where my roots are. I think everything goes back to that, because I think SEO is when you have a message to put out there, it's how people find that message, and that it's not just on Google, but it's every place. When people search your brand, where's it at? What's showing up?
There's a lot of different places for that too, and I'm sure you help. That's interesting, and it can be overwhelming, especially if you, like you said, if you get started out. You need somebody to kind of show you which directions you should go, and
Exactly.
otherwise, there's so many different platforms and things to do. So many.
Yeah, it's overwhelming.
Yeah. So these days we have a lot of people doing AI and a lot of VAs and a lot of different things. So as far as your systems and stuff go, what stuff do you still do hands-on, and what stuff do you have a team or somebody pass off to?
A lot of the hands-on stuff that I do is a lot of the education type stuff. Like our biggest philosophy is, we'll tell you anything that you want to know, but it's only when you want someone to do the work is when we're actually talking about, charging you for that. So that's a lot of what I do is I like doing a lot of the education. I like meeting up with people, talking with people about their business, about, strategy, what I would do in their business or what I think they should implement in their business. And you end up having a lot of really good conversations. And so that's like the fun of this for me is talking to people about it and educating people about it. And so that's why I like handling a lot of that stuff where, a lot of the hands-on work, I like doing that as well sometimes, but a lot of the hands-on work I pass off to people to do. And then I'm double checking it and everything. But for the most part, I just like talking about it.
Yeah, like the hands-on, the education. Do you do any AI type stuff? Do you do any of those types of things? What some strategies you using currently, if any?
Yeah, so I'm really big into AI on creating efficiencies within your business. Like, I just feel like no one has any time, especially if you're a small business owner. You're doing a lot of things on your own. So the more things that you could take off your plate, the better you're going to be in other areas of your business. So I really like setting up different systems that connect, your email to your CRM, to your messaging platforms, to, just sending you notifications. And like, if someone messages you on Instagram or Facebook, you get a notification to your phone that's not necessarily from those apps, because a lot of people don't like having those apps constantly in their face. So I like setting up a lot of those systems because I think it just makes people more efficient and gives them more time back to work on their business.
That's one. Excellent. So of all the different systems and different things you have set up, which ones or what one either don't you do anymore? It's just, this isn't effective. Stay away from it. This is dumb.
This is really deep.
Go ahead.
Definitely, I used to use AI a lot when I first started getting into like building different systems. There's some sort of coding that I would have to do. I don't use AI for a lot of coding necessarily anymore because for a while there, I would run different scripts and things through like ChatGPT has like a coding section of it. So I'd connect it to my coding platforms and I would run the stuff through it. It would find an issue with it. And then I'd like, oh yeah, fix that. And then it ends up fixing a lot more things and creating a lot more work. And so that's the one thing where I'm not using AI so much to automate that process anymore. I use it a little bit to help write certain things, but in regards to like finding issues and automate, it ends up creating more work right now for me. So that's one I don't use so much anymore.
So for the writing, at this point, most of us can see an AI writing a description of whatever, and we can pick it out. We're like, that's definitely AI. Do you do certain things to kind of like personalize that or make it a little less obvious?
Yeah, like I think if you want to be efficient, you should be using AI to write a little bit, but AI just words everything exactly the same way. And all the algorithms and everybody, like, why do you want to read people's thoughts? You don't want to read, a robot's thoughts. And so, there's certain ways that we edit them to make them seem more human and actually give valuable insights. But I think structurally, like AI is really good at structuring how you should write things. And so I think that's still an efficient way to get good content out there.
So that moves us right into that next topic, which I'm going to pivot a little bit on it because it's the best use of AI, which you've already talked about, like with scheduling and writing and stuff. But when you sit down with clients and they're like, oh, blah, 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 we got to do AI. how does that conversation, if they started out that way, what kind of things do you go over with them? What kind of warnings? What kind of like, you definitely need to use it for this and this. Like, how does that conversation look with your clients?
Yeah, so there's two different types of clients that do that. One is one who doesn't want to use AI at all. And you have to show them the light a little bit on how it can make their lives more efficient and how it can make the process more efficient, especially like when we aren't there. We try to teach people how to do different things, so eventually it puts us out of the job, because that usually makes them happy and they give us referrals and everybody wins at the end. Then there's a client who really wants to use AI. They want AI to automate everything. They want it to automate their phone calls. They even want the customer service agent. I just don't think what we have to explain to them is, with AI out there right now and everybody's looking for it, and not necessarily in a good way. They're just saying like who is being authentic or not.
Yeah.
And people want authenticity. And if you aren't being authentic in your business or while you're trying to sell your service, then you're going to turn people off. And so that's one thing that we have to we're trying to educate people on, that really want to dive headfirst into AI everything, is that people want human interaction and they want real conversations. And so it's going to end up, it might make you more efficient where you can hit 1 million more people and, more opportunity. You're going to run into something, but at the end of the day, it's your business is better off for it if you still have some authenticity in your conversations.
So I'm assuming most of those conversations you down with them, you're like, you just pick out the parts of the business that should be automated based on what they do, and you probably customize that conversation, don't you?
Yeah, we do, because there's, some where like a phone call with like an AI agent is efficient and it's good, and then there's other businesses where there is more of a personal touch to their business where it's not going to end up working out.
Yeah, that's good. That's excellent. Sometimes they need that third party like yourself to figure that out too. Next one is budgeting. So if, let's say you're a starter entrepreneur, which you probably sit down with a handful of those and they're not quite ready for your services, but they want to get up and running. What kind of budgeting advice do you have for them? Where should they be spending their money to get themselves up and running, so that way they do need your services in the near future?
Yeah. So the first thing I end up talking to, like, people who are just starting out, I always say, well, is this your only job, or is this like something that you're doing on the side? If it's something that you're doing on the side, you better not be paying yourself out from this business unless you absolutely need it. Like, everything that you make needs to be going right back into the business. And then based on what they're making revenue wise, like, they should be spending, especially in just starting out, they should be spending 10 to 20% of their revenue on marketing.
Yeah.
Like, the rest needs to go into processes, and if they need help, like employees and things like that. But 10 to 20% needs to be going into marketing, because if they aren't building that up even slowly, then they're never going to be able to do anything. And a lot of times people make the mistake of, oh, I have a bunch of revenue, I'm just going to throw it into advertising. Well, I always think that's a terrible idea to start out with, because as soon as you turn advertising off, then your business stops too. Yeah. And so you gotta start slowly, and you gotta start building processes in the beginning that might not make you money the first month, but in a year, you're going to be making a lot more money than you would have if you tried to take shortcuts.
So we started in the beginning talking about the unlimited number of platforms they can be putting stuff on. So do you have part of the conversation? You help guide them to maybe pick a few out, and how do you get them to know where their platform strength is?
Yeah, so I first start with a website first. That's got to be buttoned up. And the analogy I always like to use is, you're inviting everybody to a party. If you get to the party and there's no snacks and drinks and there's not a lot of people there, then you're going to leave. And so you got to make sure the party's good first. And then you send out the invites to the party. And no one's going to go to a party that says, hey, party at this address. And everybody's like, what's here? So there's,
that's good.
So you gotta build the website first so that people have a good experience once they get there. And then you got to start creating compelling messaging outside to to start bringing people in there, whether that's building content on your website or posting content on social media, getting viewed that way.
That's awesome. That's very good advice. I like that analogy. That's really nice. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
So the last question is going to be, before we let you take us out, is this is a burnout culture. It's one of the topics that people always talk about. So what types of things do you do to kind of rest and recharge? Because otherwise we could be working 14 hours a day, every single day. We could be all over the place. What do you do?
Yeah. Well, that's kind of a difficult question because I don't believe I'm going to trigger a few people really quick,
Go
and
ahead.
then I'll explain it. I don't believe burnout's real.
Okay.
I think if you love what you're doing and you're doing it the right way, I don't believe that you can actually get burnt out on it. I think burnout comes from feeling like what you're doing doesn't matter. People are working certain jobs or they're working in a business and feel like the task that they are doing isn't actually having an effect. And I think sometimes for entrepreneurs that burnout comes into place when they're building, and they aren't getting any business and they aren't seeing the fruits of their reward. I think I started to feel like that for a while. And when I really started to look back at it, it was like, well, I've made my whole process into trying to sell business or just into work for other businesses or white labeling for certain agencies. And I wasn't, but all of my income, everything, my business completely relied on outside sources. And so how I got over that burnout is I just started reaching out to people and I'm like, hey, here's a free strategy for your business. Do you want to talk about it? Like, literally, I'm not trying to sell you anything. We don't even have to hop on a phone call. And that led to more conversations, which I ended up having a lot of fun with, meeting up for people for coffee, talking shop, talking business strategy. And then never once have I ever asked anybody, okay, do you want to give me money? It's usually them saying, hey, do you want to help us with this? And that's been the best. It's taken so much pressure off and I'm having a lot of fun in the process. And so I think finding what you like best about the process and just sticking to that, the business is going to come to you.
That's awesome. All right, cool. So, folks, if you want to meet up with Michael, it's a very, based on this conversation and all the things I've seen about you on social media and all the different conversations we've had, it's a custom experience with Michael. He takes a deep look into your business, says what's working, what's not working, and he just wants to have the conversation, look at your business together. Because often a business owner doesn't see their business while they're in the middle of it. You can't see the forest from the trees, and that's really where it seems Michael's strengths are, taking a look at your business and kind of helping you break things down. So based on that, Michael, can you give us a description of the business and the call to action, and then we'll be out of here?
Yeah, so we are a full service kind of brand authority business, primarily focusing in SEO. We are building your business sustainably, not too fast, not too slow. We're building your business at the speed it needs to be to be successful in the future. We offer, for any business who wants it, we offer free strategies. We call them revenue leak strategies. Basically, you don't even have to give us any information. You just reach out, tell us your business name. We go online, we do all the research, and then we give you a pretty decent sized document that breaks down how to identify certain issues, all the way down to what we would do to fix, or what you should be doing to fix these issues. And then just basically laying out what we think the biggest issue or revenue leak in your business is. And we give these away for free. So no, you don't even have to hop on a call with us. You just ask for it. We'll send it to you. And then you could, peace out. So we do these all the time. You could get this on our website. You can reach out to me on social media as well. You can find my LinkedIn, Michael DiMaria, or my YouTube is Michael Anthony DiMaria. And then on Instagram, you can find me there. It's at Michael is not available. I am available there, but I just thought it was funny. So
that's awesome. We'll also put those links in the description here below, and I appreciate it, man. I thank you for your time. You have a lot of great knowledge, and hopefully everybody's now able to make parties for everybody to come and join, just like you said in your analogy. So Thank you very
Yeah,
much for
this
your
is
help
fun.
today.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate you having me on.